Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Delight in Fright. I am Kat, and to my other side, we have the lovely Luna. Give him a pageant wave. And we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Tony Walsh. He is the productions president of Scotchworthy Productions. He is also the director of programming and original productions for Screambox. Thank you for joining us, Tony Walsh. Wash in the house. So you're in the house to wash up our dirty mouths with soap. That's usually what ends up happening. We get very dirty here.
I certainly enjoy the play on my last name. That has been something I've dealt with my whole life, so I'm certainly accustomed to it. But you at least pronounced it right. Normally, people say Walsh, and when I was living in Pittsburgh, going to Tom Savini's effects school, everybody called me Warsh.
That's how my mom would say, like, wash. It's time to wash the dishes.
Yeah. So I definitely got a lot of that, but no, it's wonderful to be on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on and talk about all the things I've been working on. And it was really cool in the intro to your show to see the picture of you with Carpenter and with Ted Raimi. I've met both of them too. I'm working with Ted on a show here in the near future, and so we can talk about that. And Ted's just the nicest dude. So.
Oh yeah. He's very commanding. He's awesome.
Yeah.
We were Kat and I had a great experience with him where we wanted him to like position himself a certain way for our photo. He's like, no, you go here, you go here, you go here. He had a vision for the photo and he wanted us to execute. And we're like, yes, sir.
Luna was like, yes, daddy.
Yeah. Your wish is my command. You tell me where you want my body to go, and I will put it there.
I most likely will not say the same things to him when I'm on set with him, because that'd be a weird director-actor dynamic for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you have your game show coming out that's not affiliated with Screambox, Better Luck Than Chuck. It's a horror trivia game show.
Correct.
So tell us more about this game show and when can we expect to find it?
So a couple years ago, my wife and I were watching a horror movie on the couch, as we do most nights, and she just happened to ask me if they'd ever made a horror game show before, a trivia game show. And I thought about it, and I was like, no, they haven't, as far as I know. It's a really cool idea. And so I don't know why we decided to pursue it, but we had talked about producing something together for a few years. My wife and I have been together for about a decade at this point. And I roped her into starting to work on movies with my friends. Back in 2019, my friends Rob Stern and Sarah Sharp were producing The Stylist, Jill Sixx's movie. And they were shooting that down in Kansas City right before COVID hit. And they asked us if we wanted to work on it for a little bit. And so we went down there, and that was my wife's first foray into being a part of the art department. And she really got hooked, And so I think, from that point, it was talking about producing something together, as well as her being able to do production design, because she really enjoys the set design work of it, and costuming and all those elements. And I like to direct and produce. I don't really like to produce. I just have to out of kind of necessity. But I like to direct, and have been doing that for 21 years now in the horror business. So yeah, it was just one of those serendipitous opportunities where we both had an idea that we agreed on and liked, and started developing it. And we took these two characters of mine, the widow and Charlie, which is basically a witch who's married to a guy that she murders and brings him back to life, but he's just a corpse. He's not a zombie. So he's like unable to move below the neck. So it's like his own private hell. He sits on the couch in their basement, and she forces him to watch horror movies with her all day, which is her favorite pastime. And so it's very Elvira, Married to the Crypt Keeper, but they have the dynamic of Peg and Al Bundy from Married with Children. And so it's super cute. And so I had these characters. They were in an anthology movie that I was a co-director on back in 2017 called Skeletons in the Closet, and which you'll see the trailer of if you show my show reel here in a little while, like you had said. And we just thought, wouldn't it be cool if they were the hosts of the game show? Too often you only have a single host on a game show. And so you look at like Win Ben Stein's Money, where it was Jimmy Kimmel and Ben Stein and they were able to play off of each other's humor. And we thought that that would be a really cool opportunity to bring these characters back to life with a new iteration. And yeah, I mean, it worked out great. We shot a 6-episode pilot season. We've been taking the pilot episode around to some of the film festivals and, just showing it to horror fans and influencers and stuff, trying to get the word out kind of organically. We have a micro sitcom that stars the widow and Charlie, our host characters. We've been releasing weekly episodes of that on our YouTube channel, which is just Better Luck Than Chuck. So any of your audience, please go to Better Luck Than Chuck's YouTube channel and give us a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And check out True Love Never Dies, It Festers. It is our 16-episode micro sitcom. It's super cute and fun. It's funny. Adam and Alexis, who play the widow and Charlie, are hysterical. They're really great at impromptu comedy and just really bring these characters to life in a great way. And so this micro sitcom introduces everybody to these hosts, and then we'll be releasing the game show here in a couple of months, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome. And I really enjoyed watching The Muck. I thought that was just a great short. It really reminded me of Creepshow 2, The Raft.
Oh, yeah.
The goo was like perfect. Like, tell us how you made the goo. That's what I want to know.
So my buddy Jason Kane, who did the special effects on that, we originally wanted it to be this thing with all these tentacles and stuff, and he showed up to the house where we were shooting that day, and he had like all these things he was going to do, and none of it worked. None of it worked. And so we're like, all right, well, we have to shoot, all the other stuff with the girl first, getting ready to get into the bathtub and all that. And so you have some time, but you really need to figure out what this monster is going to look like quick. And so he ended up being relegated to taking a sock, and he covered it with like, I think gelatin, and which isn't good because gelatin comes apart in water. So it's like he's in the water with this thing, and it's starting to fall apart almost instantly. And then all the slime was, I believe he used methacellulose powder, which is a thickening agent, and I think J-Lube, which is like it's basically KY jelly, but it's the element, or not element, but it's the ingredient. That's the word I'm looking for. Duh. It's the ingredient in like KY jelly and sex lubricant that gives it that ooey gooey,
Nice.
Yes.
So the silicone based stuff.
I think it's silicone based, and so he did that plus the food coloring because we wanted it to look like mucky brown water.
I think the monster was far more creepy, just looking like a giant hairball that any of us could find in our sink at any time or a tub. It just happened.
I don't make hairballs anymore.
The monster got him.
Exactly. Yeah, it's living in a drain right now.
So for your horror game show, I had a question about balancing gore and glamour of the studio set. How did you balance that?
So the interesting thing about it is that when we went into it, my wife Meredith and I discussed, how do we want this to be? Like right off the bat, we thought it should be a combination of trivia, so Jeopardy or any other form of trivia, mixed with like Double Dare, which is what my generation grew up with. I'm in my mid 40s, and so I'm a product of Nickelodeon and Double Dare, and so we thought that would be really cool to do. But the more we talked about it, the idea of spraying people with blood or making people dig through a pool filled with blood to find objects and whatever, it just seemed really messy, and the reset time would take a lot of time in between takes, to get people cleaned up and the set cleaned up. And so to my wife's credit, she was like, I really don't think we should go that route. And so we just stuck to the trivia for the first 2 rounds of each episode. And then the winning contestant, there's 3 contestants, whoever has the most points from the 2 rounds of trivia gets to go into Charlie's workshop And Charlie's Workshop is basically the back room of the basement, which the whole game show is set in like a 1960s, 70s, mid-century basement with wood paneling and shag carpet and all that fun stuff. Very much takes you back to your grandma's house when you were a kid, you know, which is where my love of horror comes from. My grandma was a big horror movie fan.
Nice.
So I grew up being babysat by her and watching Tales from the Dark Side, the TV show and stuff at her house. And so you mix that then with this back room kind of cluttered workshop storage room where the contestants have to find iconic horror movie items like Freddy's sweater or the hook from I Know What You Did Last Summer, hidden amongst all the crap that's been thrown in this room ever since the widow, you know, killed Charlie and has him sitting on the couch. He doesn't use his workshop anymore, so she just throws all of her shit in there. And so it's all cluttered. So it's got the bit of the scavenger hunt kind of Legend of the Hidden Temple, you know, finders keepers type of scavenger hunt bit to it. So there's really no gore per se. Charlie, who's a zombie, he's got a really cool mask that was sculpted by my buddy Mike Rotella, who's a big effects artist out in Hollywood, worked on The Walking Dead and a bunch of stuff like that. And him and I went to Savini school together back 20 years ago now. So he created the mask, which is all silicone, and so Adam Michaels, our actor, wears that and is able to still deliver his lines very comedically, and you know, just kind of sits there on the couch and razzes the contestants when they say a stupid answer, which is great.
Nice. I love it. So I have some horror questions if you guys want to play.
Sure.
Ooh,
Yeah.
let's play.
I went through this set of just from Spirit Halloween, just like horror questions. And anything that was like too simple, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
So here we go. In 2004, Shaun of the Dead. Which of these vinyl records is not launched at Zombies by Shaun and Ed? Prince's Batman, New Order, Blue Monday, Sade, or Sade, how do you Sade? Whatever. Diamond Life, or Coldplay Parachutes.
It's not Sade or Coldplay. I'm gonna go with it's
What was the first one?
Batman.
Prince Batman. Which of these records was not launched at Zombies?
That one doesn't sound familiar to me, so I'm gonna go with that one.
New Order. I'll say New Order then.
And what did you go with, Luna?
The Batman one.
It was Coldplay Parachutes. Which one was not launched?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that in a long time, but that means they saved it because they liked it?
No, it means like it wasn't one of the records that they launched at the Zombies. So apparently they launched the Sade, the New Order, and the Prince. They launched at the Zombies.
Gotcha.
Here, let's do one.
Then I would have known that because I don't think was that album out at the time. I don't remember.
So I just checked. The album Parachutes by Coldplay came out in 2000.
Oh.
Okay, so
Shaun of the Dead came out in 2004. So 4 years, yeah. Well, they were filming. This album should have been out. So
those guys don't strike me as the characters that would listen to
Coldplay. That would have that.
Yeah.
In 1973's The Exorcist was the highest grossing R-rated horror film of all time until it was overtaken by which film? Evil Dead 2, 1987, Scream 2, 1997, Paranormal Activity, 2007, or It, 2017?
It, 2017.
What do you think, Luna?
I'm thinking Scream, maybe. Yeah.
No, it was It. Yay!
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it made like $1 billion. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, crazy. So, did you want to show Tony's reel, Luna, so we could see all the awesome stuff he's done?
Before
and then we'll get into all the Scream box stuff. That's what I have most of the questions for.
Cool.
Yeah, let me make sure the tab is playing the audio for you guys.
Man, I've watched it forever.
A horror film at the core is meant to scare an audience.
I know all you chiefers was sparking it up to that one.
Welcome to hell, asshole!
Remember, pack it tight.
Nobody knows where it comes from. But it's always there, watching over you while you sleep, waiting for you to open your eyes. For the last time.
You're all driving me crazy!
Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Widow! Chop, chop.
Down we go.
Disgusting.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I'm totally gonna watch this.
Fuck yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yes, very nice.
That is a trip down memory lane right there. I haven't seen that in a while.
Aw. Tony, I will say Sid Haig is was one of the nicest human beings I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. And let me tell you a story before that will validate that. So back in my very young years when I was going to college, got really heavy into horror because my parents, didn't allow me to go to the movies when I was growing up. So once I joined college, it was like free reign. I got everything. I got all the horror movies. I got everything I wanted, and I had that exposure. So I went to a convention. I managed to get a little bit of money together and go to this convention, and Sid Haig was there, and I was like, I was just like in heaven, but I didn't have any money because, college student. And I was like, fuck, I really want a picture with him, but I really don't have the money. Let me just go talk to him, go to his booth, and what's the worst he's going to say? No. So I was like, hey, I'm a college student. I really don't have money, but I would really love a picture. I'm a really big fan. Like, can we do this? And he was like, yeah, sure. Come on down, get a picture with me. And if it would have been anybody else, they would have been like, money or go fuck yourself. But I just explained, I really love you. I love your work and you're amazing. I'm a college student. I don't have money, but I would love a picture with you. And like, that was enough for him. He was like, yeah, that's cool. So
Yeah.
he was just a super sweet guy.
He was.
Yeah.
He was amazing to work with. It was great that movie's, the experience of working on that movie together turned into a friendship with him. And, somebody who has been involved in movies for, 50 years, 50 plus years. It was just really cool to not just, I mean, that's ultimately why I directed that movie in the first place. Is I was originally supposed to just do special effects with my buddy Jason, who I was talking about earlier with the Muck, and the producers were having a hard time with the director that they were working through pre-production with. And so after a handful of conversations with me about the movie, because they had seen A Chance in Hell, that World War II Nazi zombie short film I did, they were like, are you interested in directing this? And it was such a great opportunity to work with Sid Haig, plus Joe Estevez, and Robert Zadar, rest in peace as well for him. All of them were great. And you look at like Robert Zadar and Sid Haig, who stereotypically worked as actors playing bad guys in movies. And yet they were two of the nicest and most humble people that I've had the pleasure to work with in my 21 years as a filmmaker. And even after we were done shooting High on the Hog, I would visit with Sid when he would be in town, because I'm in Chicago. And so whenever he'd be in town for a convention, I would go and hang out with him, and I would help him at his booth. And seeing how he would interact with his fans was one of those things where, like, I wish everybody in Hollywood saw that and understood that you could be just as nice and patient with people and accomplish whatever it is that your motives are, as you would if you're being a jerk, or even maybe a little more successful than that, because there's just a lot of negativity and bad people in this business. And Sid, for being in this business as long as he was, I don't think he ever let that dilute his integrity as a person.
Oh yeah, very kind soul. Very kind. I have nothing but great things to say about him. And we had a very nice conversation. So
yeah,
he was very nice.
Yeah. And Ted Raimi's the same way. Like I said, I've only known Ted for maybe a little over a half a year at this point. As I said, we're developing a show for Screambox that we're going to be shooting here in a month or so. And he's the same type of personality where he understands that his career is based off of the fandom, and so he doesn't take for granted, at least from what I've seen, when he talks to people, he doesn't take for granted the fact that the fan base is what is keeping his momentum going in this business, because it's hard to be successful in this business.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to have a job with Screambox that pays my bills, but the independent filmmaking side of it doesn't make money. And so it's when you're at that level where you can go to a convention and actually get paid to sign your name on a piece of paper or a photograph because people are that interested to meet you, you just gotta respect that, and and not take it for granted, because you're one in a million at that point.
Absolutely. So Screambox is bloody disgusting streaming service. What is it that sets Screambox apart from your Shudder or your Night Flight, which is one that I really like as well?
Yeah, well, there's no reason for me, obviously, to talk negatively about any of the streaming services. I think any any platform that is interested in perpetuating horror to the diehard fans out there, like the three of us, is awesome in my book. You know, I like Shudder because Shudder has a lot of the big titles. You know, a lot of other platforms can't afford the content that Shudder has on their platform because it just costs too much nowadays to license titles that have like a following behind them or some sort of acclaim. You can't just say like, oh, I want, you know, House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, and you know, your Lionsgate's going to give it to me for $2. You know, that's not that easy. So I think that there's a place for all of them, but what I really love about Screambox and the way I describe it, which I don't believe is an insult to Shudder, I say Shudder is the Blockbuster Video of horror streaming. Screambox is the mom and pop video store, which was always my preference when I was in, you know, the 90s as a high school student. I worked at 2 video stores that were mom and pop video stores, and those are the ones I prefer to go to and rent movies from, because you might find 100 copies of Independence Day on the shelf at Blockbuster, but at the end of the day, Blockbuster's horror section was poorly curated, and you go to the mom and pop video store and there's like an entire row just horror, and you just are surrounded by the coolest movies that you've never heard of. And that's how I discovered a lot of the stuff that I now consider some of my favorite horror movies. So I'm trying to kind of follow the same approach with Screambox, where I am curating content that I believe the fan base is going to like. I'm trying to be independent movie centric, where I really support the movies out there that are created by people like me, who are just struggling artists trying to get their ideas out there for audiences to discover. And yeah, I mean, so far I hope that I'm doing an okay job with it. And I really like the position of programmer, because, you know, I get to watch horror movies for a living, and I get to come up with fun ways of showcasing them on the platform. Like I just released last month a Video Nasties collection, which is all of we have like, I don't remember, I think it was like 45 Video Nasties back in the 70s and 80s that were banned in the UK. And I think we have like 36 or 37 of them on Screambox. Nice. And then we have all these new ones that would totally be considered Video Nasties, like Terrifier 2 and 3, and Street Trash, and Silent Night, Deadly Night, and The Toxic Avenger. So that's such a cool opportunity for people that are into those types of movies. You jump into that collection and just have fun for like a month, because there's like 60 titles in there that you're never going to run out of stuff to watch. And as I discovered when I was working at a video store in high school, there's so many horror movies that you don't even realize exist. And so you need someone to help curate that for you. You know, when I worked at the video store, I was a fan of, you know, I was 15 at the time that I started working at a video store. So I worked with this guy who was in his mid-20s, and I was a big fan of like Halloween and Friday the 13th, obviously, and Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'd never seen so many other movies. And so he's like, oh, well, if you love Halloween, you got to see Carpenter's The Thing and Prince of Darkness and The Fog. I'd never seen any of those movies because the covers of the boxes weren't that awesome compared to, like, you know, the cover of like April Fool's Day, which I should be wearing my April Fool's Day t-shirt. You know, or Return of the Living Dead, or like, you know, even the posters back here, like Leviathan and Friday the 13th Part 3. The artwork was so cool, so it just intrigued you and made you want to watch it. But if
we have a suggestion, Tony.
Yeah.
Get the Chainsaw Was Singing.
Get the Chainsaw Was Singing. All right.
Chainsaws Were Singing. It's a hilarious musical. It took them like 10 years to do, but it's just hilarity. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Monty Python.
All right. I'm looking it up right now on IMDb so I can see. The Chainsaws Were Singing.
We're singing. Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's just so hilarious.
Oh, and it went to Fantasia and stuff and Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
I will see where that is and see if we can get that on screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
So how can fans submit like we just did here with you today, suggestions or ideas for Screenbox? How would they get that to you, or is there an outlet for that?
Well, I think the easiest way to find me is on Instagram. That's the social that that I frequent the most. My profile is Scotchworthy, which is my company name. It's like a bottle of scotch, and we are not worthy. Scotchworthy, Scotchworthy, one
Nice.
word. Um, and so, find me on there and give me a follow. I appreciate the support. I put out videos every month, kind of with my highlights for Screenbox for the month that are releasing, or catalog titles that I want people to check out. Other than that, to be completely honest, I probably receive at least a dozen emails a week from people asking to watch their movie or read their script or check out their pitch deck. Um, so I have a very long list of movies I have to watch for acquisitions. So it's very hard for me to like dig into individual titles. Something like Chainsaws Were Singing, I'm happy to at least kind of see if I can find out who the licensor is and see if the acquisitions team can reach out. No guarantees, obviously. I think Christopher was who had just messaged that, but ultimately, as a horror fan, there's like 100 movies that I want to get on Screenbox, and I haven't even really been able to dive into each one individually because going after each title would take a lot of time. So, I'm trying when I have time, but now that I'm also handling productions for Screenbox, it's just a lot less time to focus on, individual things like that, the minutia. So.
Yeah. Now, Tony, you're juggling all these things. What is your creative process and your journey currently with Scotchworthy Productions?
Well, so Scotchworthy, since I'm working for Screenbox now, Scotchworthy is essentially a way for me to produce the content for Screenbox. So like I will partner typically with a production company who will handle the production services on a project, and then my company and that company will produce the show or the movie in tandem. This has all just started very recently. We've only done a couple of things at this point. Like I said, I've got this Ted Raimi show coming out in the next, well, it'll be coming out later this year, but we're shooting it in the next couple of months. And it's called Your Dearest Darkest Friend with Ted Raimi. And it's basically a talk show, a horror-themed talk show. Imagine Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood with a slight smattering of Pee-wee's Playhouse, all taking place in Disney's Haunted Mansion.
Ooh,
Love it.
that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's gonna be cool and cute and fun. But when I say cute, I don't mean it's gonna be like like hokey. Like it's horror, but it's gonna be cute. It's approachable horror. Similar to Better Luck Than Chuck, where you could watch it with your 5-year-old if you want them to become a horror fan, and they'll enjoy it as much as you will. And you don't have to worry about somebody getting cut in half with a chainsaw or something. But Ted has a great personality, and he's friends with a lot of really cool people in the horror business. And so we're trying to get some of the coolest names to be his guests on the show. And so, in terms of the creative process aspect to your question, I think it's really just now that I'm in the position to produce content for Screenbox, I'm able to try and exercise my desire to create content that I'm a fan of, the stuff that I'm championing, whether it's my own content or an idea from a friend or a filmmaker I've met at a festival, and then from there, it's like, I'm not a helicopter producer, but at the same time, I do like to try and make sure that the filmmakers, if I'm not the one directing and producing specifically, I like them to know that I am an active member of the creative and the organizational team, so that they don't feel like they're doing it alone, and hopefully they appreciate my support in that regard. So
awesome.
Nice.
So do you plan on having any type of horror host for the show? I mean, it would be great if you could snatch up Joe Bob. I love that man.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that we haven't gotten a fair amount of people saying that Screambox should grab Joe Bob. So, it is in it's out there. It's in the universe. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's a lot of things, that are going on that I'm excited about and that I would love to see come to fruition. Another really cool brand that I would love to reinvigorate is the Holliston show from Adam Green and Joe Lynch. That's something that I'm a fan of, and I really like both Adam and Joe, and would love to see another season of that show get produced for Screambox. But it's also tough because, like I said, there's so much stuff that we're being delivered and considering. And on top of that, I've got a slate of about a half a dozen projects that I've been trying to get over the green light line for a couple of years now. So it's just a slow process. If I could get 1 to 2 shows or movies in production and completed every year, I would consider myself very fortunate. And hopefully, Cineverse, which is the parent company of Screambox, hopefully everybody there sees what I'm doing and will continue to do with their approval, and hopefully they're happy with it.
Awesome. I did read a lot of reviews about Screambox, and a lot of them say that it's the best international horror. So that's definitely a good thing in your wheelhouse to have. Do you plan on maybe dubbing some of the films? Because I love to watch international films, horror films, but sometimes after a long day, you just can't keep up with the reading.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know, because that is a good question. I have not been privy to any of the ops teams doing a English dub on a foreign title. And we have a lot of really cool international movies. We have the Cube reboot, the Korean Cube reboot, which is great. I just promoted this month Project Wolf Hunting, which is I think Filipino or Korean or Filipino movie, action horror movie. That's pretty awesome. And so, yeah, I would love to see English dubbed versions of those. But it's also tough. It's like, it's almost like you're doing the movie disservice by having a bunch of, voice actors recreate the characters, because they never give them the inflection and the emotion that they're supposed to. So it always just feels inherently hokey. So, but I do understand what you say. Like, and like my wife, she doesn't really like watching movies where she has to read the subtitles because she wants to watch the movie. So it's like we rarely watch those types of movies because I'm in the same boat. I'll watch one if I'm really interested in seeing it. But like, there's this one movie I saw, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like, I think it's Taiwanese or Korean, and it's like about a bunch of people in a cave with a giant centipede monster. It looks badass.
Nice.
I'm like, I need to see this movie. So if I'm really seeking one out, I'll watch it with the subtitles. But I certainly would choose an English-speaking one over one with subtitles any day, just because it's easier to, decompress and enjoy it.
Definitely. I have a question for you, Tony, kind of a fun one.
Sure.
Better Luck Than Chuck features a very specific host dynamic. If you were actually a contestant on Chuck's show, what is one of the horror trivia category that would be your Achilles heel, the one that would get you killed?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I gotta really say, like, and 90% of it is my wife's responsibility. She came up with some really witty categories, like sequels that didn't suck, and Come Play With Us is movies dealing with killer toys and stuff like that, which is obviously a play on The Shining as well. We have You're Looking a Little Pale is all of our haunted or ghostly movies. If You're Watching This, I Must Be Dead is all found footage stuff. And so there's a lot of really cool categories. I feel like if I had to pick one that I wouldn't be good at, Honestly, I would probably say modern macabre, which sounds really funny since all I do is watch horror movies for my job. But modern macabre was all the recent horror films, and I'm not as familiar with like directors' names and those types of things. A lot of like actors that are really popular nowadays in pop culture. I'm not. I'm in my 40s, so I just don't pay attention to the stuff I did when I was in my 20s. Where you actually knew all the music that was out and stuff. So I think that would be my Achilles heel, just because I'm not as privy to current pop culture. But most of the older stuff I could probably do pretty well, as long as I'm not nervous at hitting the buzzer on time and that type of thing, having stage fright. That's why I'm never in my movies. I refuse to be in front of the camera.
So obviously we're all big fans of indie films and indie horror. Would you be able to or see if that's something that Screenbox would be willing to do in the future, is stream film festivals, because it's really pricey to travel to go to these festivals, and that's what I love to do, but you don't always have the money to do so. So if a streaming service would offer something like that, I think that would really set them apart as well.
It's funny because, and ladies, I have to tell you, you've asked some really awesome questions tonight. Very unique ones that I've never had someone ask me before. So bravo in that regard. I actually did talk to one of the film festivals that I've been partnered with now for Screenbox. And the film festival director brought that up. He's like, we should look at doing a collaboration on the virtual festival. And I think that the biggest contention with doing that is that virtual festivals cost money to like get a pass to. So like for example, next weekend we're showing the pilot episode of Better Luck Than Chuck at Panic Fest, which is a Kansas City genre festival. Super awesome festival. Really excited to go. It'll be my first year going, but I've known Adam and Tim, who run it, for years now. And so I'm really excited to finally be there. They're showing the pilot episode also during their virtual festival. So anybody out there who wants to see the pilot episode of the game show, you can go to Panic Fest's virtual festival next week and watch it. But it costs money to get a festival pass for the virtual pass. If we were to do something with Screenbox, obviously Cineverse, the parent company, is going to want to somehow monetize that. So how does Cineverse and the festival company orchestrate that together to where everybody's happy, and while also maintaining the ability to take those things down after a week or 2 weeks of streaming to the audiences, so that those movies are not pirated, they're not exploited outside of the festival.
Yeah, there's definitely some kinks to work out in that scenario, but I'm happy that these talks are being made, because I've done the Panic Fest virtual and it's worth every penny of it. But the way you have to load it up on your TV to watch it on a big screen, it can be rather difficult and time consuming. It's like the site's always kind of dropping you out, and it makes it a little difficult. But perhaps it would be nice, just something like with some things that would be free or would be a part of the subscription service, and then viewers could pay extra, to unlock certain things for the time frame. But yeah, that's a lot of background stuff that programmers have to figure out, right?
Yeah. No, but I think that that's a really good way of putting it, is pitching an idea like that to the suits that run a company that's a big corporation. They're looking at it from the dollar signs perspective, which you have to understand, because that's how everybody that runs a big company is going to think. So you have to be able to pitch it to them in a perspective of like, this is why this is a good idea. And you also have to do that to the festival director, because the festival director can make $150 for a virtual pass versus maybe half, if they partner with a company like Screenbox. They're not going to want to do it because they're not making as much money off of it. And at the end of the day, it's all about how much money can you make so that you can continue running the festival in future years. But I think saying the accessibility on the technical side of it, being able to watch it on your television through the Screenbox app, as opposed to having to hook your computer up with an HDMI cable or some other technical thing that maybe people are not accustomed to doing. I think that ease is definitely a piece of ammunition that we can utilize in those conversations.
And the benefits for the content creators as well. An independent artist is going to be more likely to put their stuff on screen boxes, so that they can, in hopes of, okay, if it does really well and we get a lot of viewers, maybe Screenbox will keep us, and create that kind of brand recognition within the independent community, because artists are really, they stick with who they trust, who they know isn't going to rob them, and we have a good allegiance with people that we know are going to support us. So I think the artists themselves would be very thankful, very happy if they could work with Screenbox and Bloody Disgusting and be able to procure future work, right? It's not always about what have you done for me right now. Things that in the future could work for them. I think that would be a big benefit as well, if the the big wigs and those in the suits can kind of see the rolling of the money and the domino effect, so to say.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely prevalent already, where we have a show called Bloody Bites, which features short films from all over the world, that I curate, and we are premiering season 17 this Friday, and so it's a long-standing seasonal show that, at this point we've featured over 200 short films, and these are all movies that either get sent to me from the filmmaker or I find in a film festival, and so we're already farming the talent in that regard. We're looking for the next John Carpenter and the next Quentin Tarantino. And I think the biggest thing that I would be looking for at that point is just that support from Cineverse to say, you are using your personal relationships with these people that through your filmmaking and through your festival and convention journeys to acquire content for our platform. We want to make sure to support you in showcasing integrity and stuff. And again, it's not always easy when you're a large company. I think we have over 20 channels. Screenbox is just one of them. We've got, cool other channels like Midnight Pulp, which is all exploitation and kung fu movies and sci-fi and stuff. But then we also have the Dove channel, which is basically Hallmark Network. We've got the Bob Ross channel for The Painter, and we have the Barney channel for kids, so when you're managing all of this content and all of these licensors, it's hard to obviously remain punctual and stuff. And so it's definitely a work in progress, but I think that we are, at the very least, what we can exude outside of the company in situations like this, where I'm talking to people, where hopefully people are listening to me say this, is look, you've got someone who's a 21-year filmmaking veteran on the other side of the curtain, working for a distributor and working for a platform that acquires content. So I will always be, your advocate for getting information and answers and making sure that you are not being left in the dark, and that you feel like you're respected for providing us with content. So, I'll do what I can with the control that I have. And I know that everybody at Bloody Disgusting is the same way, because they're all just horror fans too. And likewise with other people at Cineverse. My boss Eric, who runs Midnight Pulp and Fandor, which is our award-winning movie channel. He's the director of programming across the board, and the dude's awesome. He's just chock full of integrity and just has so many great relationships with independent filmmakers and small boutique distributors, that he's really trying to create a pathway for smaller movies to be seen by the masses, and I just really respect that perspective.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions, Luna?
No, I'm looking on my notes. We've touched base on
I have
everything.
plenty. I just wanted to give you a chance, Luna. before I
No,
continue?
I touched. Well, there's only one that I'm kind of curious about.
Hit me.
Um, you know how in game shows they're typically designed to be overstimulating with lights and buzzers. How did you use those happy triggers to actually increase the tension and dread for the audience?
Hmm. Well, I think that especially in the workshop, the final round, what I love most about that, it never fails when somebody watches an episode of the game show. Um, like whether we're at a film festival or if we've sent a screener to somebody, they always say, I'm watching the final round and people are searching for an item and they're looking at the screen and they're like, it's right there, it's right there. And I think that's one of the coolest things for me is, and for my wife, is that we hear those people say that. And that's exactly what we wanted out of that moment is, you're looking for Freddy's sweater and you see it. It's not hanging on a curtain or not on a curtain. It's not hanging on a hanger on the curtain rod. It's hanging over. It's sitting in this box over here, bundled up, and you don't see it, but the audience sees it, and they're shouting at the TV, and the contestant that's searching through the room just doesn't see it. And I think those are the moments that I really love. Likewise, when as a producer, you want the contestants to be buzzing in on every single question, because if you have like 8 or 9 questions in a row where no one guesses it or everybody gets it wrong, that's kind of bad for a game show, and you worry about that as a producer. Did we make this too hard? But what I love is the tension of like when you've got a question where you can see them thinking, you're like, is anybody going to buzz in and guess it? And then you have the people at home who know the answer, who are like, how do you not know this fucking question? So I think that's a lot of fun. I wouldn't say we don't have like flashing lights and stuff necessarily. It's very much just a 1960s mid-century modern basement. We've got a really fun aesthetic. It's very colorful and vibrant. And we've got some cool moments that do really get you up and excited. Like we got really awesome guest trivia question reads by some of the most iconic people in horror: Mike Flanagan, Gary Sherman, BJ McDonald, Brea Grant, Chad Villella from Radio Silence. So many different people that were willing to send us a couple of questions. And so things like that, I think really kind of help with the intensity and the excitement here and there throughout it.
That sounds great. And just like when we're watching horror movies, we're like, what are you doing? You should be leaving the house. Why are you running back in? What's wrong with you? So I love how that kind of goes over into the game show world as well.
Yeah, I was watching a movie the other night for Screambox, like an acquisition potential. And the whole time I was just like, what the fuck? Seriously? Why are you doing that? Stop it. Come on.
So my last question for you, Tom, is what do you see for the future of independent horror?
My sincere hope is that independent horror flips Hollywood on its ass, and that we as a collective are able to rise up and say, look, we're not going to give our content to distributors for nothing, because we deserve to be a bigger part of the revenue stream. And obviously I am working for a distributor, so it's hard for me to say that, but I do feel like Screambox is at least competitive in the market for what we can afford. And so I'm proud of kind of our position at this point. But as a filmmaker, as a creative, as an artist, I don't like seeing that people are not, offered their value in a project because it's a buyer's market, and so distributors know that they can lowball you and try and pay less money for content. So I sincerely hope that filmmakers will get up and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, if you want my content, you have to pay for it. Otherwise, we're all just going to release it ourselves. And you look at, there's obviously examples of that, like Iron Lung, that are a little bit larger in scale because he's got such a large following already built in to to support his stuff. But like, if any filmmaker, if all of us got together and said, let's just do this as a team, like you've got a movie coming out this year, you've got a movie coming out this year, I've got a TV show coming out this year. Let's all just say, you know what? We're all gonna protest. That would be great, but ultimately, I don't know if it'll ever happen because there's so much content being made that I feel like distributors are always going to have access to stuff regardless. So, like I said, I've got a watch list of over 30 features right now that I have to watch for Screambox. So there's never a shortage.
Well, we thank you so much for your time, Tony. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and about your history. So, do you have anything else in the works for us? Any surprises or tidbits around the corner that you can maybe share?
Well, like I said, obviously we've got Your Dearest Darkest Friend with your host Ted Ramey. That'll be releasing on Screambox probably the tail end of this year, 2026. And then we did a short film contest for Bloody Bites because this year is Bloody Disgusting's 25th anniversary. And so we did a short film contest where we're bringing Buzzkill, the Bloody Disgusting icon. Come on, fingers, work. This guy. We're bringing him to life in a short film. And the contest winner, Jesse Hennessy, is out of Spokane, Washington, and he's producing a short film that'll be the Halloween episode of Bloody Bites this year. And so we've got that in the works right now as well. And yeah, otherwise, on the personal level, Better Luck Than Chuck is coming soon. It'll be out in the next few months. We are releasing it before Halloween. It's a 6-episode game show season. The 5 regular season episodes, and then the top 3 finalists from the first 5 episodes come back in the season finale to compete for the grand prize trip to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that with the Fast Pass? Yes.
I think they get the Fast Pass. They get
nice.
3 nights. They get a park pass.
What?
They get hotel, airfare. It's Universal's awesome.
I know, and it gets more expensive every freaking year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
I gotta take out a fucking loan.
Right?
Yeah.
Fuck it. I guess I'll be paying it for the next 3 years.
There you go. So yeah, so we're definitely very excited for people to finally see Better Luck Than Chuck. So I ask everybody out there that's listening to your show, go to our YouTube channel, go to our Instagram or our TikTok. It's Better Luck Than Chuck, and give us a follow or a subscribe. Take a look at the stuff we've been releasing. We did a really fun April Fool's Day joke today where we posted that True Love Never Dies, It Festers, which is again the sitcom that's currently on our YouTube. It got picked up by the Hallmark Channel, and they're going to do a second season.
Nice.
And so it's funny because we've actually had a couple of people like say, "Hey, congratulations!" And we're like, "It's an April Fool's joke."
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
Please tune in, check it out. It's a lot of fun. You will not regret checking it out. I promise you.
Absolutely. Anyone that's watching our show, definitely subscribe to Tony's YouTube channel, as well as if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and put your name anywhere or your email anywhere in the comments, we will enter you in a drawing to win an autographed sexy as hell photo of Elvira.
Ooh.
So we have our What's in the Box challenge that may or may not include Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
I want an autographed picture.
Yeah, subscribe. We subscribed to you
It's a
earlier
really
today.
It's a really good one too. It's a really good picture.
Is it? And it's Delight and Fright is your YouTube channel?
Mhm.
Delight and Fright.
Grabbing as soon as we jump off this call. And I would have anyway, even without the Elvira picture.
Thank you.
Despite that fact.
No, he wants the hot, sexy picture.
How could you
She's
not?
got like the nipple tassels and everything,
Yeah.
the bejeweled nipple
She's
tassels.
all leathered out.
I love her so much.
She's all leathered out, nipple tassels, jewels on the boobs, like
I'm sure my wife
need
would
it.
love that.
Yes. Exactly.
Thank you for having me on your show, ladies. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks for letting me help promote my stuff and Screambox and everything. So
Absolutely. Any connections we can help make in the independent horror community, it just lets us all makes it worthwhile for us.
Agreed.
So Luna, you want to show Tony how we say goodbye here?
Yes, Tony, we are big Cthulhu fans, so we gotta pay homage to the older gods by saying tentacle, bye
tentacle
bye,
action.
tentacle action.
Just like the
Nice.
Cthulhu mouse pad from Film Quest.
Love it.
So you also can pay
Yes.
honor to
The elder god, yes.
Yes. The one and only Cthulhu.
If you guys like Cthulhu, you gotta watch The Demon on Screambox. It is a very Lovecraftian Cthulhu inspired movie. It's awesome.
We love that.
Yeah.
Lovecraftian is a definitely a niche that we love.
Yay. Jotting it down. I got it.
Yes. Jotting it down.
Daemon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just came out a couple weeks ago, so check it out.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
you so much, Tony. Have a great night, and good luck with better luck than Chuck, but I'm sure you have all the luck there is.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to see the stuff going on with you and everything you're producing. So have a great night, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, boils and ghouls. It's your old pal, John Kusier, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I want to thank you for listening to Delight and Fright with your hosts, Luna and Kat, a podcast for outcasts.